Ditch this and please explain to me what you mean by marriage is hard.
It's not.
Hey people, how you are doing today? It's your girl Destiny here and welcome back to my channel. How you are doing? Hope you guys are doing great. So today's video is the part 2 video of the video I posted previously talking about is marriage hard and what makes marriage hard. So I did a part 1 of women responding to this and sharing their thoughts if marriage is hard and why marriage is hard. And I share my thought. Okay, so in this video we're going to hear men's thought on this if marriage is hard. We're going to hear their thoughts on this and what they think about it, okay? So let's go check out what the men have to say about if marriage is hard or not. And then I'll come back and share more of my thoughts. If you guys don't know, I share some of my thoughts in the women's one, but I still have more to share, okay? Because some of you guys don't know, I've been married for over 10 years and I've been with my partner for 20 plus years. So I feel like when it comes to this conversation, is marriage hard? What makes marriage hard? I feel like I should be talking. Okay. So anyway, guys, let's go check out the men's response to this. Then I'll come back and share more of my thoughts on this. So if you haven't seen the first video, go check out the first video so you get full context of this conversation on the women's side of the story. So go check it out. I'll leave it up in the card and also in the description box so you get full context of it and join in the conversation. So with that all said, guys, let's go check out the men talk and then we'll come back and talk more.
Ditch this and please explain to me what you mean by marriage is hard.
I was admittedly triggered by the responses on this one because in my 36 years of life, I've never heard anyone say that marriage is not hard. Bringing two different people together to face the challenges of life until death is inherently a hard thing. And to answer the particular question of why is it hard, it's not necessarily just getting through the big stuff of like, oh, you probably haven't been through much together yet. It's just the daily grind of life with another person, regardless of if they're your favorite person. My wife and I, we are our favorite people. And we've had some really hard times, but we love spending time together. We love doing things together. But it's still hard. And that's not just coming from me. She would be like, yeah, marriage is hard. You have to live with another person and mold your life together. You might have different mindsets and opinions and things come up. And you have to just live your life with another person. And I don't know. I feel like there's a solid amount of gaslighting going on with this one. People gaslighting themselves into thinking marriage isn't hard. And then passing on that gaslighting to other people. And just being like, what are we talking about? Marriage isn't hard as long as you're with the right person. Yeah, it is. I would really just question if people are not properly communicating with their partners if they think marriage is not hard. And if they realize that they're not properly communicating, because you can do that. It's not that you are purposely doing it. You're not even realizing you're not communicating with your partner properly. And maybe your needs aren't getting met and you think you're good, but you're not.
Exactly.
And I'm not trying to be pessimistic here. It's just this is such a strange...
Love it.
Yeah, the fact that so many people are like, marriage is not hard. Huh?
And please explain to me what you mean by marriage is hard.
It's the children. The children make it hard. They make it hard. I don't care how much you love and care about somebody. When you have the almost constant added pressure of like small humans demanding your attention and time and energy, it is hard to be a good, kind, patient, loving, attentive partner. It's just hard. That doesn't mean parenting isn't worth it. Doesn't mean you shouldn't have kids. Doesn't mean I hate having kids. I am just saying when you have kids, it drastically reduces your ability to be an attentive and engaging partner. It's just hard. And then everybody's tired. Everybody's frustrated. It's just harder. Now, there are some people who are married and have kids and they have no problem. I don't. They're superheroes. I don't know how they do it. But people who are saying marriage is hard, they 99% of the time have kids making it harder. Like, that's what it is. That's what it is. It's the children. And we love them. And we're happy we have them. But your marriage is going to be harder with them. Like one example, I come home at the end of the day and we're having dinner and my kids are at an age where they are constantly bickering. And my wife asked me one day, she's like, gosh, I just feel like, at dinner time when you're home, like you're just not in a good mood. I'm like, how can I be in a good mood? I was like, it has nothing to do with you. You are great. You are incredible. But when I have to shout over children fighting in order to have a conversation with you, I just choose not to have a conversation with you. And it has nothing to do with how much I love or care about her. It is the environment of chaos that kids bring. So that's just one of the thousands of ways that kids make it more difficult to have a good, solid, strong, loving marriage. And now there's some trauma bonding that happens that brings you closer together as well. And having kids, I think, is worth it. I think it's made me more mature. I think it's made me less selfish. I think it's great. But if you're asking why marriage is hard or why we're saying that, it's the children that are doing it to us.
And please explain to me what you mean by marriage is hard.
I'll take just about any chance I get to be sincere on the internet. Thank you for this. Look, my response is going to completely bracket the fact that there's a number of people in life who are so deluded by compulsive heterosexuality. They think marriage is hard because you have to live with another person who complements your gender and you have to fulfill the misery and entrapment of gender roles. We're bracketing that. The only sincere thing that I will entertain about marriage being hard is this, and it's pretty hard. It's that you've chosen to spend your life with someone who makes you better. Like, I have promised accountability to someone who is my partner in everything from the dishes to the bills to raising kids if you want to do that, to making friends, to like everything in life. And my partners return that with me. So, I'm not always operating peak performance, but that like impacts somebody, and somebody's expecting me to like not make their life a little bit harder. And so everything that I do in life is practice. It's practice for being a better person. And that's not to reduce, marriage down to just like being hyper moralizing about everything, but like everything that you do impacts someone. And so like, in the same way that like, if you're a musician and you're practicing a piece, sometimes you just have days where it's really frustrating because like, you're just not really hitting your spots. I think that's what's hard about it. But also, what a gift for someone to give you that they're willing to just like practice with you. And also, what a gift to also be a part of someone else's practice. That's pretty cool. And, I guess you don't really have to have that in marriage. You can have any kind of long-term relationship. I think marriage is just like one way that people tend to do it. We don't have to glorify these things, but they are pretty cool sometimes.
Ditch this and please explain to me what you mean by marriage is hard.
Hey, my name is Anthony. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I've been married for 10, going on 11 years, so I feel like I know a little bit about this subject. My wife is legitimately my best friend. She's the first person I want to see in the mornings, and the first person I want to see when I get home. So, when you've got someone like that in your life, you legitimately don't have a hard marriage. Sure, there are times where life is hard, but there's no one else I would want to do life with but her.
Please explain to me what you mean by marriage is hard.
Oh, this is a good one. So in August, I will have been married for 14 years, so I might know a thing or two. And here's my perspective. Anything that is worth doing is going to be hard. Why? Because it takes a lot of dedication, commitment, determination, resilience, consistency. Take athletes, for example. They train almost their whole lives just to compete. That's hard. People in corporate America work tirelessly, sleepless nights to climb the corporate ladder. That's hard. Adulting is hard. So why would marriage be any different? The sheer fact that you have to work at maintaining something that you want is just hard.
Can people who are married stitch this and please explain to me what you mean by marriage is hard?
So before I give you my answer, I think the reason that this is such a good and confusing question is because the phrase marriage is hard has at least two distinct and almost entirely opposed meanings. Because when you say marriage is hard, you either mean marriage is hard like hitting a baseball is hard, or marriage is hard like calculus is hard. You can insert your own examples here, these are just mine. So if I were to say marriage is hard, I would be saying it's hard like hitting a baseball is hard, because it requires dedication and discipline and effort and time, a willingness to receive feedback, to put your ego aside. And also a recognition that, like, you are going to swing and miss repeatedly, and you got to be able to just pull yourself back together and try again. And you do that not because it's easy, but because it's rewarding and it's satisfying, and it makes you and it makes your team happy when you succeed. And I say this not as somebody who's a particularly great baseball player. I stopped playing when I was 20 years old. I played in a college summer league and I hit 200. But as somebody who continues playing recreationally with the same group of people for years on end because I love it. You know, calculus also requires time and effort and practice and blah, 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 blah. But it is a chore. It is torturous. And I only do it out of obligation or because it's transactional in some way. I'm willing to do something that I hate so that I can get something that I want. So when someone says that marriage is hard, I think it is important that we know which kind of hard they mean. Hard like hitting a baseball or hard like calculus, because there is a world of difference between the two.
And please explain to me what you mean by marriage is hard.
Oh, marriage is hard because life is hard. Yeah, and when you take two hard lives and you put them together, it's not more hard, but there is just more hard stuff to deal with. Like, your hard is my hard now, and my hard is your hard. And this sounds dirtier than I mean it to be, but what you're thinking when I said hard, that is also one of the issues sometimes.
So please go down in the comment section and share your thoughts. I'd love to know what you think about this conversation down in the comment section. But please keep it respectful here on this channel. We're allowed to disagree, but we do it in a respectful way. So feel free to share your opinion. Your opinion is welcome, okay? But please be respectful about this, okay? So this is the men's response. Like I said before in the beginning of the video, if you haven't seen the women's response, go check it out. I'll leave it up in the card and in the description box so you get full context of this conversation, okay? So for me, it's really funny to hear the men say that marriage is hard, because some women are saying marriage is not hard, it's not that deep, you were married to the wrong person and all that. Like I said in the previous video, there's a whole lot of other factors that come into being marriage being hard. So go check out that, which I'm not going to touch the part I have touched in that first video. I'm going to touch a new part of it. Well, people, marriage is definitely hard. Nobody's going to tell me otherwise. I've done it. Like, I'm doing it. So marriage is hard. Like, nobody's going to tell me otherwise. And people don't talk about how individuals kind of change, and how when it comes to the dating game and how people navigate relationships now, apart from growing up, apart from being in a relationship and growing and changing, and your mentality and your life grows up, we also take away that when being in a relationship, I feel like there's also that part where people don't become complacent in a relationship apart from being in a marriage. I feel like when we get into marriage, both men and women will become very complacent with each other, because we feel like this other person is not going to go anywhere, because this other person is going to choose me over and over again and choose our family over and over again. And then both people become complacent and start taking the relationship and the marriage for granted, and which is going to cause a strain in the marriage, which is going to make the marriage hard. Okay? And sometimes even we as humans, when we keep doing something over and over and over and over and over again, we get exhausted. And that's why I always advise people, when you get into marriage, take a break. Don't lose your individual self in the marriage. Especially a person like me that grew up in a society where women are taught to lose themselves in marriage, that the only thing they do in marriage is to serve a man. And that's one thing most women, we've had this conversation here a lot of times, most women can identify that we are naturally raised to lose ourselves as women in marriage, and that kind of really make a strain in the marriage, because at a particular point in time we are exhausted mentally, physically, spiritually, and then especially when you now start knowing who you are exhausted and like, you know, what am I doing here? I'm pouring so much, because that's what naturally we're wired to pour so much, so it becomes really hard, and even your partner will sense that shift in energy. So I always say, like, when you're in a marriage, if you've been in marriage as long as I am, or been in a relationship as long as I am, go on your self journey and know who you are. And I always advise people, which I am of the opinion that marriage is a scam, period. I said that. But if you have to do marriage, don't ever lose yourself. Don't lose yourself in it. Know who you are. Be your individual in the marriage. And that's one thing that has kept my marriage and has kept me happy and all that. Because when you lose yourself, like, you'll be miserable. And that's one of the things that makes a lot of people unhappy, both men and women. When you get into this relationship and being in a marriage, you start losing yourself. And like the other man pointed out, having kids change the entire dynamic of the marriage. And that's something a lot of people don't put into consideration when they choose to get married and having kids. People don't put into consideration. When the kids come, then it becomes like tussle, like everybody's tired, everybody's stressed, everybody's full, like everyone feels like I'm doing more than this and all that. So a whole lot of factor goes into making marriage hard. But I feel like if you are very intentional and very self-aware, and you know exactly what you're getting yourself into, and choose who you want to do life with, and you choose and you guys align and understand that we're going to grow, we're going to change, I'm ready to have those honest conversations. Because I feel like when it comes to relationship now, there's a whole lot of acting and drama. Everybody's playing mind games and all that. And I've said it a couple of times here on this channel. I wish that people can be honest and true to themselves and be ready to have that conversation. But I feel like because of trauma that a lot of us has gone through, there's a whole lot of mind games that everybody's playing with each other, even in marriages. And people were like, oh, because I don't want to hurt you, because I don't want to disrespect you, that's why I don't say things. I feel like, and I don't know if that time will ever come where we as human beings were actually very honest and very open about how we feel, what we feel, our expectation and all that. And then another thing that also makes marriage hard, which I'm going to get into, is that the expectation of marriage can be crazy. Especially as women, the expectation that was given are like, oh, happily ever after. A lot of people don't dive into the nitty-gritty of being married, living with somebody together, living with another person in its space together, doing life together, choosing to do life over and over, even if you don't want to. The expectation, like I always say, the expectation of marriage, especially in my society, and the reality is totally different. And so that makes it hard, because you are like, oh. And that's why I always advise people, like, you know what, if you want to get into marriage, get married with the right with your own intention, with your own goals. Why are you getting married? People get married for different reasons. People get married for money. People get married for having kids. People get married for companion. People get married for, and I feel like these are conversations that you should have with your partner. Like, why are we getting married? And I feel like if that aligns, like both of you are getting married for like, maybe you are a girl that's getting married for money, and then this man is getting married to you because he's looking for who to spend his money with, who to control. I feel like you'll be happy because you get what you want, he gets what you want, and you guys will be happy. But if you don't have those hard conversations and you get into it because society expects you to get married, it's going to be hard. And also society expects you to have children. Like the other man pointed out, having kids just makes everything hard. The people are not going to have that conversation. People are not going to be honest about it, but it is, okay? And yeah, we've had this type of conversation over and over a lot on this channel, and keep talking about it. And we're just going to keep talking about it because we want people, younger people, and even older people that want to get into this thing, know exactly what they're getting themselves into. Do the healing, do the work, do the research before they get themselves into it. And that's why the person you choose to do it with, it is very, very important. Who you choose to do life with and who you choose to have kids with is very, very important. But one thing I would say, don't lose who you are. Be your authentic self. Live your life to the fullest. Like, be your authentic self and do it. And then another thing I'll also talk about is finance. Finance causes a lot of strain in marriages, and even especially in marriages. In relationship, you can walk away, but in marriages, finance kind of really does that. And for me, is that when you're getting with somebody and you want to do marriage with a person, talk finance, talk how finance are going to run in the home, like the nitty gritty of how finance is going to run, who is going to buy toothpick, who is going to buy water, how much is our savings, who is saving what. And make sure that other person follows through. Like, be able to hold each other accountable for that. Okay. Anyway, guys, I'm going to stop here because if I go on, I can continue going on for days. If you guys want me to talk more on this personally, please let me know down in the comment section and I will do that. Okay, because I feel like I can go on for like hours now. Anyway, guys, please go ahead and share your thoughts. Love to know what you think about this amazing conversation down in the comment section. But please keep it respectful. You're on this channel, we're allowed to disagree, but we do it in a respectful way. So feel free to share your opinion. Please share this video with somebody that you want to be part of the conversation, because that's what we do here. We have banging conversations. So go ahead and share this video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, smash the like button, because this helps YouTube to push out my content for more people to see. And that will be you supporting this channel and this girl. With that all said, guys, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Deuces.